All right, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's relationship is under a lot of scrutiny,
Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are taking some space amid continued rumors of marriage tension.
and people are still trying to figure out and assess what happened in that relationship. So let's go back to 2001, all the way in the beginning, from the first time when they connected. Apparently, they had a prenup at that time, or they were supposed to have a prenup, but obviously they never ended up getting married.
It's such a meta story, right?
So over the years, a lot has been said about the rules that existed between them, or the rules that Jennifer, at least from Jennifer's side, the boundaries that she set. Now, this article was recently published on She Knows, and these are alleged rules. And some of these rules, I can see why they are in place. So let's just break it down, okay? Because after 2 years of marriage, it's not that long. And by the way, they weren't together for the entire 2 years. She did file divorce on the Tuesday.
Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's second shot at love coming to an end.
On the specific day that they had gotten married, the day of their wedding, but she filed in her divorce or in the divorce process, that they were actually separated since April 26th. All right, so the first rule that is implemented here is that there is no smoking.
Smoke-free zone. Here's hoping Ben sticks to this rule for both his health and Jen's.
Now, we've seen Ben Affleck smoking in the past. We have not seen him smoking as of late. So J-Lo loves Ben, but she's tired of his nasty cigarettes. This is what a source told to OK Magazine in 2022. She put up with his smoking at first, but it's his only vice left, and she didn't want to be a nag, but she can't stand it. Now, she hates cigarette smoke, and what's worse, smelling it on his clothes. And while Ben goes outside to smoke now, she'd rather him not smoke at all. This is what the insider had said.
J-Lo's love may not cost a thing, but being married to her has a lot of rules.
When it comes to smoking, and by the way, we've talked about, what makes for long-term relationships, being that I am a relationship expert. I've studied relationships. I've worked with some of the top relationship experts. And according to the love doctor, Dr. Terry Orbuck, she does state that one of the major, requirements of compatibility is the same views on your lifestyle and health and fitness. So typically, especially when I'm matching people who are non-smokers typically do not want to date a smoker. Okay. It's like a deal breaker. In this case, I guess she chose to, set the boundary that he has to go smoke outside or whatever, but that was one of her rules. The next rule is that there are no female flight attendants. Now, we know that Ben and J-Lo fly private. So according to Fox News, Lopez does not allow female flight attendants on her private planes to this day because, of course, of what happened in the past. After her then husband, Mark Anthony, had an alleged fling with a flight attendant. All right, well, I think this is a reasonable rule considering that, you do not want to, she's kind of just protecting her marriage and doing some pre-damage control. It's kind of like not having a young, hot nanny watching your kids, because how many celebrity marriages and breakups happen because, one of the partners, whether it's the hot young pool boy or the hot young nanny, gets in the way and is just too much temptation. Her rule is no female flight attendants. I don't think that that's a bad rule given the situation that they're in. However, I think if they're flying together, I can't see how, a female flight attendant would be an issue unless, of course, she just doesn't want that anxiety or having to feel like, oh my God, like when I go to the bathroom, are they going to slip phone numbers, right? Those are some of the things that I'm thinking she's thinking about. All right. Now, another rule she has: only 3 drinks when you go out. So it's been alleged that for years, Jennifer Lopez has a strict only 3 drinks when we're out with all of her past partners. And this was taken per cheat sheet, the outlet cheat sheet. Now, with Ben being that he's sober, there should be a 0 drink policy. Okay. Somebody who has had addiction issues, particularly when it comes to alcohol, they shouldn't have any drinks. But Jennifer Lopez's rules for any of her dating partners is 3 drinks max. I think this is great. Again, these are things that you should discuss before you start dating someone. She definitely has a list of a lot of things that she does not, want her partners to cross. And I think it's better to understand the reasoning behind the rule than for a person to feel like the relationship is so restrictive and they can't do something. I mean, you have to use your common sense. Men typically can drink a little more because of the, body mass index. Like if I have 3 drinks, depending on the, amount of alcohol in the drink, depending on the frequency between when I drank those drinks, and also how much water and how much food am I having in between those drinks. 3 drinks is enough for somebody my size, especially drinking that within 3-hour period. I'm probably feeling nice, maybe a little tipsy even. Again, depending on the type of alcohol. Are they shots? Is it wine? Because if it's wine, 3 glasses of wine is like half a bottle of wine. I'm looped by that point, okay? For guys, maybe a little bit different. I think that it's better to have a conversation about not being drunk, handling your liquor, but setting a 3-drink rule is what is stated that she wants her partners to adhere to. Now, this rule seems super obvious. It almost seems like it shouldn't be a rule, but it's a rule that every relationship, aside if you're open, or that you have a kind of relationship where, hey, do what you want. No cheating. Likely any couple do not want to deal with infidelity. And of course, it has been rumored in the past that JLo has had her share of men that have not been very faithful and have not been very nice. So she has a no cheating rule. Apparently, a source told one of the publications, this was Daily Mail, in their 2003 prenup, there was supposed to be a clause was in there stating some kind of consequence if Ben cheated. The prenuptial agreement is to protect both their assets and says that if they do split, they keep their own money, except if Ben cheats. What she does want is for Ben to give her some guarantee that he will never cheat again, okay? There are many clauses in prenups that have a big penalty if the man or the woman cheats. Typically, I've seen it where the clause is more on the men. Hey, if our marriage ends because of it's discovered that you cheat, I get the house in the Hamptons, I get $500,000 or whatever the case is. But that means they're going to think twice, hopefully, if they find themselves in a situation to not cheat. Okay, it's like a cheating deterrent or cheating insurance. This rule I can totally agree with. He must get along with this ex. Not about any other exes, but this ex. Lopez and Affleck have both had their fair share of star-studded lovers, but it's been alleged by Hollywood Life that Affleck absolutely had to get along with Mark Anthony, okay? Lopez's ex-husband, Mark Anthony, why? Well, it's logical. He's the father of Lopez's twins, and apparently they still are extremely close even after their divorce in 2014. So this seems like a reasonable rule. I can't argue with that. In fact, I think it shouldn't even be a rule. I think it should just be a thing. A lot of times when people come to me, they say, I only want to date someone single. I don't want to date somebody who's divorced or somebody who has kids. It's because often they assume that there's this, trouble with the ex, that there's going to be drama, that there's going to be too much mess. It's easier to date somebody who doesn't, have kids. But in this case, when you're still you're friendly with your ex, and you have a good co-parenting relationship, similar to how Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner seem to have a great co-parenting relationship, a great post-divorce relationship. It doesn't mention anything about Ben saying that Jennifer has to like his ex, Jennifer Garner, but I'm sure if she's implementing you gotta like my ex, I'm going to assume that she's going to take on the fact that she's got to like his ex, because at the end of the day, you want to be child focused, and this is about their kids and not about their egos. I find that when people don't like the ex, it's usually some kind of threat. It's an ego. There's comparison. But if you are dating somebody and you're dating somebody with children, it's always in your best interest and favorable for the kids and for your current partner to try to maintain a cordial, professional, and amicable relationship with their ex-partner. Okay? This rule's a little different. Apparently, she has a rule that he needs to be in charge of all relocation. Let's dive into what it says. It's been alleged that by the Marca that in order to keep Lopez happy and blissful, Affleck is in charge of all their relocation matters when it comes to moving or buying houses. Maybe that is why Ben Affleck bought his own $20 million property near his ex when he moved out of the $60 million mansion. And he did that while she was away. So true to that word, if that was a rule, he literally did manage his exit, manage his purchase of property, and the exit of all of his things. So house hunting is already very stressful, but to not split the duties half and half sounds even more stressful, but that's a stress that Jennifer Lopez doesn't want to take on. I would assume that she'd want to have some, part in the moving process, considering I've seen her work ethic. I've seen her documentary, Halftime. I've seen how she navigates and, coordinates her projects. I would think that a house move is something she would want to definitely be on top of. Anyway, she's leaving that to Ben. The next rule is they both agreed to have no more kids. Now, that seems logical considering Jennifer Lopez did the halftime Super Bowl show 2 years ago at the age of 52. Now, it doesn't mean that, at this age that a couple cannot agree to adopt. Like, look at Jolie and Pitt. They have biological children, but their adopted children outnumber their actual biological children. So reportedly, Lopez and Affleck both were on the same page. The rule was no more kids. I assume they took the necessary precautions for that. And perhaps because she's already past 50, that, it's assumed and logical that they're not going to have any more kids. And this one is, I've heard about this before. I don't know if there's any truth to this statement, but I have heard about it. Supposedly, Jennifer has a no big tip rule. Lopez has long been accused of being rude to servers. I find that odd given where she came from and given the fact that, she seems to, at least from her movies and whatnot, seem to portray this like, I want to help everybody. I want to, empower women and whatnot. But supposedly she's not the nicest when it comes to servers. According to a now deleted TikTok video via Your Tango, a former employee of a casino told the story about how Lopez was stingy with her money, saying and telling Ben not to tip. He doesn't tip anymore, baby. You don't need to tell him nothing. He's not doing it. This was the quote that was stated at a TikTok video. I would love to see that. If anybody has a copy of that, post it in the link or in the comments below. And others allege that if he did tip, that she would actually take the big tip away from the service industry workers. So whoever it was, an overage of tipping, she would take that away. All right, no big tips, supposedly, for Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. You're not allowed to tip more than probably 20%. Who knows? That being said, these are all the rules that Jennifer had during their relationship. I think it's important to have boundaries, and it's important before you get into a serious relationship to both speak about what's important to you. Nowadays, they call it kind of like these relationship contracts. It's like a prenup for a relationship. A prenup is to protect your marriage. A relationship agreement, a relationship contract is for your relationship. All right. Not a bad idea. Maybe you can implement some of these rules. Which rules do you like? Which rules would you get rid of? Would love to hear your comments below.